Hi. Let me send a couple of messages real quick. Oh wow. I'm sorry guys. I right before I was about to click live or go live, I got called by Coach Campos, so I'm a little bit late. Um okay. I'm gonna start with today. So I'm gonna be a lot more structured today than I was yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and start with the sixth grade assignment number 1, which is on page 377. It's going over the rock cycle, which is what we were talking about right before we let out for spring break. It's going to make me a little bit smaller so I can see a couple of things. Okay, so number 1. Hold on, I'm not on the right page. Like, still not there. Let's get my life together. There it is. Okay, so the very first thing that we were looking at is vocabulary. So in your own words, defining. First word was rock cycle. Yeah. Super simple. We know that the rock cycle is the process relating to how rocks undergo their transformation. So if we started off with sediment, where did they go after that? And just so again, rock cycle is the process that rocks undergo to become different rocks. So I'm going to show you the book in case that's confusing. The rock cycle is right there. The process that rocks undergo while changing to different types of rocks. Number 2, we were looking at weathering. So what is weathering? Weathering is when rocks are broken down into smaller pieces. And we know that weathering happens through water, wind, ice, heat, pressure because of animals, plants, and or gravity. So weathering is when rocks are broken down into smaller pieces. And then rift zone, I need to go look for that one more time real quick. Your rift zone. Your rift zone happens on page 374, and your rift zone is where an area of deep cracks form. So the rift zone is common between tectonic plates that are pulling apart. So if these tectonic plates are pulling apart, it's going to be common during when it comes to divergent plates. We are on number 4, so we're almost done with the lesson 3. So you're classifying these 3 types of rocks. I'm going to add in number 6 just because it's super simple to finish. We know that there are 3 types of rocks. You have sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous. So number 4, the classifying rock. This rock is made up of mineral calcite, and it is formed from the remains of organisms that lived in water. The rock cycle and the different types of rocks happen on page 370. On 370 and 371. So sedimentary rock is composed of minerals formed from solutions or sediments from older rock. They form in layers. So like while they form really because of gravity. Being made of calcite, which is, flip back to the page. Being made of a mineral calcite, which is what most people call limestone. Hey, Ariana, I was going to type it and then I realized I just could just say it. So hey, Ariana, is sedimentary rock. And then so The rock that's formed through high pressure or high temperature and pressure, that's going to be your metamorphic. So then if you've already taken care of 2, you only have 1 left. So sedimentary, metamorphic, and then your third one. Moving on to 395. So this is the second set for 6th grade. I was like, where was I? My train of thought just stopped. Ariana, I'm going to finish going through the 6th grade work. Would it be helpful if I went through the studies weekly for 7th grade? Just let me know. The 6th grade is not going to take too much longer, so I'll finish it up. And then if you'd like me to go through 7th grade, okay. Okay, so 6th grade has 5 different, for 6th grade, if you're watching, I cut out on page 395, number 8. So we're only doing 1 through 5. The blank is a region of hot, slow-flowing solid rock between the core and the crust. The only thing between the core and the crust is going to be your mantle. And then number 2, the blank is the densest compositional layer that makes up 1/3 of the Earth's mass. That is going to be your core. So the core makes up the majority of that mass. Number 3, the blank is the outermost rigid physical layer of the Earth. The layer that has the most rigidity is going to be the crust. I'm on the wrong grade level. Number 4, which model of Earth's interior does this image show? That really took me a second to wrap my brain around that. I'm going to show you the layers here one more time. Well, not one more time. I'm going to show you the layers, and I can see that. So what is the difference between, oh, wrong one. So this here is basically what's being shown here. We're showing the, what each layer is made up of. So you're showing the chemical composition of the layer. Which layer is mostly made up of iron and nickel, and that's going to be the core. Ariana, are you doing high tech or low tech? So are you on studies weekly, or are you doing the book? What's this? I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay, I'm actually gonna have to do this. Okay. Okay, so 6th grade's taken care of from in the first 8 minutes. We were talking about the rock cycle. So this is really just review. We were doing that right before we left, the rock cycle, and then the layers of the Earth. And the same thing was happening on the high-tech side with Studies Weekly. So really, Studies Weekly for 6th grade was more about the was more about the shape of the Earth, shaping the Earth. Ariana, if you're back, you're doing high-tech, correct? So you're on Studies Weekly? Because if not, I'll keep going with the 7th grade tech. Okay. So looking at the Studies Weekly, I don't know how I'm going to do that. So I have to look on it up here. So Studies Weekly for 7th grade, we were looking at the 2nd week. So it's life science. Scroll. It's life science, cells, tissues, and organs. Number 1 on the first little article, which is survivor inside the cell membrane. what does the word replicate mean in this article? So you had making copies of themselves to make as much as possible, to use again, or to reapply. The goal of replication is to make as much as possible, but the word itself means making copies. So it's making copies of themselves. It's the first answer. Number 2, according to the article, how are bacteria, some fungi, and protists similar to plant and animal cells? Animal cells do not make their own food. So the first answer choice is they make their own food. That's not what happens with animal cells. Animal cells do not make their own food. That second answer doesn't make sense either. They live in animals, they live in plants. They have similar processes, and some have some of the same structures. So that is the correct answer. So that fourth choice, they have similar processes and some of the same structures. Okay, I don't think I can pause that. I'm gonna have to be right back.